Welcome back to the Old Photo Vault channel. Get ready for a real journey through time. Stay with me until the end, because the conclusion may surprise you. Don't forget to leave a like to support our work and share your thoughts in the comments. Boeing 307 Stratoliner, Mount Rainier, USA, 1940. High above the snow-capped peak of Mount Rainier, the Boeing 307 Stratoliner glides through the thin air, a symbol of America's rebirth and ambition after years of struggle. Introduced in 1940, it was the first commercial aircraft with a pressurized cabin, allowing passengers to soar higher and smoother than ever before. The gleaming metal body reflects both sunlight and the optimism of a nation ready to rise again. As it cruised with Pan American Airways, this flying marvel bridged continents and dreams, marking the dawn of a new age in aviation history. Converted ocean liners. Hudson River, New York, USA, 1941. Once symbols of luxury and elegance, these mighty ocean liners now stood repainted and refitted for war. Docked along the Hudson River in 1941, their grand halls and ballrooms had been stripped away, replaced by bunks and military gear. The glamorous age of ocean travel gave way to the grim necessities of global conflict. As America entered World War II after the attack on Pearl Harbor, these vessels became lifelines, carrying troops, hope, and determination across the Atlantic. In their steel hulls, echoes of music and laughter were replaced by the rhythm of marching boots and the hum of engines bound for war. Civil Air Patrol student pilot, Silver Lake Airfield, Baker, California, USA, 1944. Amid the heat of the California desert in 1944, a young woman from the Civil Air Patrol reclines on the tail of her aircraft, lost in study. With her flight manual in hand and the sun casting sharp shadows across the sand, she embodies a new kind of wartime courage. Intelligence paired with quiet confidence. During World War II, thousands of women trained as pilots, mechanics, and support crew, stepping boldly into roles once reserved for men. This image is both serene and powerful, a portrait of focus, grace, and the steady rise of women in aviation history. Ensign Jane Candy Kendai, Pacific Battlefield, World War II, March 1945. In the chaos of the Pacific Front, 22-year-old Navy nurse Jane Candy Kendai knelt beside the wounded, her courage shining through the smoke of war. In March 1945, she became the first U.S. Navy nurse to land on an active battlefield, tending to Marines fresh from the front lines. Her calm hands and steady gaze brought humanity to a place consumed by destruction. Candy's bravery marked a turning point, a reminder that compassion could exist even in the darkest corners of conflict. Through her service, she proved that courage is not only found on the front lines, but in the act of healing. New York skyline, Manhattan, USA, 1940s. The Manhattan skyline of the 1940s stood as a proud testament to human ambition and resilience. Towering skyscrapers pierced the clouds, each one a symbol of recovery after the Great Depression and a beacon of hope for a modern America. From the waters of the Hudson, the city shimmered with steel and glass, a living monument to progress. It was an era when architects dared to dream higher, and the rhythm of New York echoed the heartbeat of a nation rebuilding itself. The city that never slept was already preparing to define the future. Great Smoky Mountains National Park dedication, Tennessee, USA, 1940. Beneath the misty ridges of the Great Smoky Mountains, thousands gathered to witness history unfold. It was 1940, and the United States celebrated the dedication of one of its most cherished national parks. Standing before the vast crowd, leaders spoke of preservation, unity, and the timeless beauty of the American wilderness. The air carried both the scent of pine and the promise of a nation learning to protect its natural treasures. This moment marked not just the birth of a park, but a vow to keep the wild heart of America alive for generations to come. Rita Hayworth, leading a conga line of sailors, California, USA, circa 1941. In this lively 1941 photograph, Hollywood star Rita Hayworth leads a joyful conga line of sailors, her radiant smile lighting up the scene as the world edged closer to war. Moments like this offered brief escapes from uncertainty, where glamour met duty and laughter bridged the distance between Hollywood and the front lines. Hayworth's charm and grace symbolized the spirit of an era when hope, music, and dance could lift even the heaviest of hearts. It's a timeless image of joy amid the shadows of history. Miner's wife and child. McDowell County, West Virginia, USA, 1946. In this quiet 1946 photograph, a miner's wife sits tenderly with her child in the modest living room of their three-room home in McDowell County, West Virginia. The worn armchair, the small bookshelf, and the delicate lacework on the cushion tell stories of resilience and pride amid hardship. Coal dust and struggle filled the world outside, but inside, warmth and care prevail. This image captures the enduring spirit of post-war Appalachia, where even the humblest homes held dignity, love, and the quiet strength of everyday survival. Coal miner's child in class. Harlan County, Kentucky, USA, 1946. In a small classroom in Harlan County, Kentucky, 1946, a young boy, barefoot and dressed in worn overalls, bends over his schoolwork with quiet determination. His feet may be bare, but his spirit is unshaken. For many children of coal miners, education was a fragile lifeline, a chance to rise beyond the dark tunnels that defined their families' lives. The wooden desks, the dim light, and the focus in his eyes speak of resilience. A generation that carried hope on their small shoulders, even when the world gave them little. California's Zephyr Train. Oakland, California, USA. 1950s, under the glow of station lights. Passengers lined up neatly beside the gleaming California Zephyr, a symbol of post-war progress and American adventure. In the 1950s, rail travel embodied both elegance and optimism, connecting cities and dreams across vast landscapes. The polished stainless steel reflected a nation on the move, eager to explore, rebuild, and redefine modern living. Each suitcase held not just belongings, but hope for a brighter future. The hum of the locomotive was the sound of America racing toward a new horizon. San Francisco Cable Car, California, USA. 1950s. Rattling up the steep hills of San Francisco, the city's iconic cable cars carried more than passengers. They carried a piece of its soul. In the 1950s, these wooden streetcars were both a practical mode of transport and a beloved symbol of everyday life. Clinging to the side rails, young men chatted and laughed as the car creaked along its tracks, climbing toward the bright California sky. While new automobiles filled the streets, the cable car remained timeless, a living connection to the city's past and its enduring charm. McDonald's Restaurant, Des Plaines, Illinois, USA, 1955. In the bright glow of neon and chrome, a revolution in dining quietly began. This McDonald's in Des Plaines, Illinois, opened in 1955, marked the birth of the modern fast food era. With hamburgers priced at just 15 cents and the promise of speedy service, it captured the spirit of post-war America, fast, efficient, and full of ambition. The Golden Arches, still modest then, would soon rise to become one of the most recognizable symbols in the world. From this small corner of Illinois, a global empire was born, forever changing the way the world eats. Disneyland opening ceremony, Anaheim, California, USA, 1955. Under the warm California sun, Walt Disney stood before a crowd filled with anticipation and wonder. It was July 17th, 1955, the grand opening of Disneyland, the first theme park of its kind in the world. Flags waved, bands played, and dreams took shape as Disney spoke of a place where imagination would live forever. The park was more than rides and attractions. It was a vision brought to life, a kingdom of joy built from the power of storytelling. That day, in Anaheim, magic became real, and the world would never look at childhood the same way again. Freedom Riders, Montgomery, Alabama, USA, 1961. In a quiet bus terminal in Montgomery, a group of young men and women sat together, defying decades of racial segregation with courage and calm. It was 1961, and they were Freedom Riders, activists who traveled through the American South to challenge unjust laws and awaken a nation's conscience. Their peaceful presence in a place where they were not welcome became an act of resistance stronger than any weapon. Each face reflected determination, fear, and hope. A silent promise that equality would one day prevail. This moment captured not just a protest, but the heartbeat of the civil rights movement. World Trade Center construction, New York City, USA. 1970. Rising from the heart of Lower Manhattan, the steel skeleton of the World Trade Center symbolized a new era of ambition and global connection. The 1970s saw New York transform once again, its skyline climbing ever higher toward the clouds. Each beam and bolt represented not just engineering prowess, but faith in progress and unity through commerce. Workers toiled day and night, building what would become the Twin Towers, icons of strength and modernity. Though their story would one day end in tragedy, in this moment, they stood as a testament to human determination and the unyielding spirit of a city that always reaches upward. Hippie Gas Station, California, USA, 1971. Amid the fading echoes of the 1960s counterculture, this vividly painted gas station captured the spirit of rebellion and peace that defined a generation. Covered in hand-drawn flowers, eyes, and messages of love, it stood as more than a place to refuel. It was a symbol of freedom and self-expression. The barefoot attendant, with his unkempt beard and carefree stance, embodied the hippie ideal of simplicity and authenticity. In 1971, places like this were sanctuaries for dreamers who still believed in love, art, and the power to change the world, one small act at a time. Venice Beach Rock Festival, California, USA, 1968. Under the blazing California sun, music and freedom collided in a wave of youthful rebellion. At Venice Beach in 1968, thousands gathered for a rock festival that captured the essence of a generation. Untamed, idealistic, and electric with possibility. A young woman swayed to the rhythm, lost in sound and spirit, her silhouette framed against the sea of dreamers below. Rock music wasn't just entertainment, it was a movement, an anthem of liberation born from the chaos of the times. On that beach, the heartbeat of the hippie era pulsed louder than ever. Hippie couple on motorcycle, California, USA, 1969. Freedom roared through the streets of California in 1969, carried by the sound of engines and the laughter of dreamers. This hippie couple, riding barefoot on a gleaming motorcycle, embodied the rebellion and romance of a generation that refused to be tamed. Behind them, a painted Volkswagen van, the moving symbol of peace and counterculture, completed the picture of a life lived without boundaries. The wind, the road, and the open sky were all they needed. In that moment, they weren't just traveling. They were chasing a feeling called freedom, anti-war protest. Kent State University, Ohio, USA, 1970. Fear and defiance filled the air at Kent State University in 1970 as students clashed with armed guards during one of the most tragic moments in America's anti-war movement. The protest against the Vietnam War had begun peacefully, but soon erupted into chaos when the National Guard opened fire on unarmed students. This photograph freezes the panic. Young lives running from violence on their own campus, their ideals colliding with the harsh reality of authority. The Kent State shootings would shock the nation, forever changing how America viewed its youth, its government, and the cost of war. Jacqueline Kennedy's wedding portrait, Newport, Rhode Island, USA, 1953. In 1953, Jacqueline Bouvier stood radiant in her wedding gown, moments before becoming Jacqueline Kennedy. Draped in silk and lace, she embodied the grace and poise that would later captivate a nation. Her serene expression hinted at both innocence and destiny. A young woman stepping into history alongside a future president. This photograph, timeless and elegant, became one of the most iconic bridal portraits of the 20th century, capturing not just a bride, but the beginning of an American legacy. Fudge cake preparation. Tulsa, Oklahoma, USA, 1947. In a modest kitchen in post-war America, two young women share a quiet moment of joy as they prepare a fudge cake from scratch. The air is filled with the comforting scent of cocoa and sugar. Simple ingredients that spoke of hope and normalcy after years of uncertainty. Their aprons, smiles, and focus capture the gentle rhythm of everyday life in the late 1940s. This image is more than domestic nostalgia. It's a tender reflection of a generation rebuilding, one sweet recipe at a time, drawing water from a shared well. Bell County, Kentucky, USA, 1946. In the quiet hills of Kentucky, a man works patiently at a wooden well, drawing water that sustains several nearby families. It is 1946, and though the war has ended, rural life in America still moves to the rhythm of simplicity and hard labor. The well stands as both a necessity and a gathering place, a symbol of community in an age before modern conveniences reached every home. Surrounded by cornfields and mountains, this moment captures the resilience and quiet dignity of those who lived close to the land, their strength drawn from both soil and shared spirit. Patsy Cline, performing at the Grand Ole Opry, Nashville, Tennessee, USA, early 1960s. Under the warm stage lights of the Grand Ole Opry, Patsy Cline's voice carried both power and melancholy. The sound of a rising country star whose fame would soon be cut short. Known for her haunting ballads and heartfelt emotion, she sang as if aware of her fleeting time. Friends later recalled her uneasy premonitions about death, words that seemed to linger in every song. In March 1963, her tragic plane crash ended a brilliant life at just 30 years old. Yet in this photograph, she shines. Confident, graceful, and forever immortal in the music she left behind. Mother and her 10 daughters. Boston, Massachusetts, USA, 1952. In a tidy Boston home of 1952, a mother kneels with quiet precision, measuring hems as her 10 daughters stand patiently in line. Dressed alike in matching skirts and blouses, the girls reflect a post-war America rooted in order, discipline, and domestic pride. This image captures more than a family portrait. It's a glimpse into an era when motherhood was both a duty and an art form. Behind the calm symmetry lies the unspoken strength of women who held their households together stitch by stitch, raising the next generation in a time of hope and tradition. Robin Lee Graham and his voyage. Pacific Ocean, 1965. At just 16, Robin Lee Graham left behind the safety of childhood and set sail toward the edge of the world. Alone aboard his small sailboat Dove, he faced storms, solitude, and the boundless unknown with quiet courage. Many doubted he'd survive. Yet each sunrise at sea strengthened his resolve. To Graham, the journey was not about records or fame. It was about freedom, discovery, and the call of the ocean that refused to be ignored. His odyssey became a symbol of youthful daring, reminding the world that sometimes The bravest adventures begin with a dream and a horizon. The Mickey Mouse Club cast. Hollywood, California, USA. May 1957. Captured in May 1957. This joyful group portrait features the original Mouseketeers from the Mickey Mouse Club, one of America's most beloved television shows of the 1950s. With bright smiles and matching polka dot dresses, the young performers embodied the post-war optimism of an entire generation. Led by host Jimmy Dodd, they sang, danced, and inspired children across the country to dream big and stay kind. For millions of families gathered around black and white TVs, the Mouseketeers were more than entertainers. They were symbols of innocence, unity, and the boundless energy of youth in a rapidly changing world. Roy Rocky Dennis, California, USA, 1970s. Born with a rare and severe condition, craniodiaphyseal dysplasia, Roy Rocky Dennis was told he would not live past childhood. Yet, against every medical expectation, he grew into a young man with humor, courage, and a heart larger than his condition. Living in California during the 1970s, Rocky became a symbol of resilience, finding friendship and acceptance in a world that often looked away. His story, filled with quiet triumph, showed that true beauty is measured not by appearance, but by spirit. Though his life was short, his strength continues to inspire generations who see in him the face of unbreakable hope. Smith College Classroom, Northampton, Massachusetts, USA. 1948. Captured in vivid color in 1948. This photograph shows a lecture hall at Smith College, where the young women leaned forward, pens in hand, as the future quietly unfolded around them. At a time when higher education for women was still a privilege, these students represented a new generation ready to step beyond traditional expectations. Their notebooks held equations, ideas, and ambitions that would shape careers, communities, and culture in the years to come. The scene is calm yet powerful, a portrait of determination, intellect, and the promise of change in post-war America. Mother and daughter on the Snow King chairlift. Jackson, Wyoming, USA, 1965. Suspended high above Jackson, Wyoming in 1965. A mother and her young daughter share a breathtaking ride on the Snow King chairlift. Below them, the quiet grid of the small mountain town stretches into the distance, framed by rugged slopes and endless sky. There's something timeless about their smiles, a mix of adventure, love, and trust. As they dangle between earth and air in that fragile balance, the photograph captures not just a moment of leisure, but a pure glimpse of post-war American optimism, when family and freedom seem to rise together toward the clouds. Gwen Stefani and Sting, The Police's Synchronicity Tour, 1983. In 1983, a 14-year-old Gwen Stefani stood nervously beside her idol, Sting, as he signed her album during The Police's Synchronicity Tour. The moment captured the spark of a dream. A young fan meeting a rock legend, unaware that destiny would one day place them on the same stage. 2 decades later, that same girl would induct Sting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, her own career shining just as brightly. The photo freezes a perfect circle in time, where inspiration begins and where it beautifully returns. Andre the Giant with his body double. On the set of The Princess Bride, USA, 1986. On the set of The Princess Bride in 1986. Andre the Giant, the gentle titan of wrestling fame, stands beside his body double, a rare sight captured behind the scenes. Known for his towering height and kind spirit, Andre's presence was larger than life, both on and off screen. The contrast between the two men highlights just how extraordinary his stature truly was. Despite his immense size and the pain he often endured, Andre's humor and warmth made him beloved by cast and crew alike. This photo is a quiet testament to his humanity behind the myth.